Always keep in mind where you are, because if you're hitting that critical load where you need to add new systems to make this work, it's okay to have overhead be a little high for a short period of time. The goal is to add systems into place that allow you to build up, whether you're scaling out or scaling up. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of your 5-Minute Friday. I'm Dr. Glenn Krieger here, and I want to talk to you today about scalability. Now, this is in honor of Dr. Ben Fishbien and Amanda Floyd talking this month at OrthoPreneur University on one of the things you're going to talk about is scalability. Now, let's talk about scalability. Scalability just means making something bigger in size, right? But there's two types of scalability, if you will. There's scaling out and there's scaling up. Now, what's the example of scaling out? Now, we always talk about we're going to scale up, we're going to scale out, we're going to do all this stuff. Nobody really defines this. And I want to talk about this just a little bit because it's important for us to understand what it is we need to do for our practices in order to get bigger and effective. Because everybody says, I'm ready to scale. Now, like, what does that mean? I'm ready to scale. So let's talk about scaling out. Scaling out would be adding more components in a parallel way is how it's defined. I even had to look at it and see it again. But it's adding more components. So like you have 2 servers in your office. Now you add a 3rd. That'd be an example of scaling out. Maybe it might be you've got 2 front desks and you add a 3rd. Maybe it might be you've got 4 assistants and you add a 5th. You've got 1 TC, you add a 2nd. That's in parallel, right? That's the way I would see scaling out. Means you're adding more people there to spread out the load, right? I have too many new patients coming in. I need somebody else answering the phone. I need to add another person. By definition, is making something bigger or faster or able to handle the load easier, right? So not just by adding more people, but by changing the system fundamentally. So an example of that might be instead of you having your front desk answer the phone, now you have a call center, right? Maybe instead of sending things out to the lab, because it's not coming back fast enough, you create your own in-office lab stuff, right? So what are some examples of things that I've done in my practice that you should be considering about it? And when should you be considering it, right? So if you have 2 doctors working a $2 million practice, right? You might have had one doctor doing $1.5 million and he said, well, I'm going to scale out. I'm going to add another doctor to this. Well, you know, if your plan long-term is to have 2 doctors working a $2 million practice, unless your overhead is insanely low, maybe it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe you should be figuring out ways to handle the capacity in a better way. And so give some thought to that. My partner and I, and we're always very transparent about things. My partner, Doug Shaw, we didn't bring a call center into the picture until we were already doing probably close to $6 million between our couple of offices, 3 offices. We didn't bring an associate into our lives, didn't even consider it until we were probably doing close to $6.5 million or so between our 3 offices. Now, for some people who are coming towards the end of their career, or maybe they want to work less hours, you know, bringing somebody in at $1 million or $1.5 million or $2 million. And to be honest, the way our practices were running, bringing somebody in wasn't necessarily about capacity because we could have handled the capacity pretty easily. It was just about a number of days working and not working, you know, 225 days a year. And I want to talk to you. If you're working 225 days a year out there, God bless you, but we need to talk. Let's get back to scaling out. You know, call center is something that we did, and it takes lots of time and energy and effort, and we can talk about that another time. There's a lot to learn about building your own call center. It's not as easy as just, you know, getting people to answer the phone in the back room. There's metrics you have to follow. There's targets you want them to hit. There's management that needs to go in place. There's oversight and listening to calls and helping with feedback and all the things we're doing. And that's important. We outsourced. One of the keys to us was scaling out, was outsourcing all of our finances for the most part to OrthoPhi. And I do have a financial interest in OrthoPhi, so I want to make that clear. But we sent that out and it really helped us a ton. It helped us in a lot of ways. And we still have a financial coordinator who oversees delinquent when we need to. But again, that was another example of what we did. And so many people will say, I'm ready to scale. But what does that really mean? So the question becomes, is it okay to have a little bit of a higher overhead at times, knowing that you're about to hit peak? So let's just say if you're a single practitioner and you're like, you know, at $1.5 million a year, and maybe you're seeing, you know, 50, 60 patients a day on 3 to 4 days a week. And, you know, you say, hey, I'm ready to add that extra column, or I'm ready to add that extra assistant, or I'm ready. You're ready to scale out. but it doesn't mean that you're ready to start a huge marketing campaign or to open a second office and suddenly start building out all these huge systems, because you may not be ready to scale up, if that makes sense. So always keep in mind where you are, because if you're hitting that critical load where you need to add new systems to make this work, it's okay to have overhead be a little high for a short period of time. The goal is to add systems into place that allow you to build up, whether you're scaling out or scaling up. Okay, so it's important to remember that it's okay to be a little bit higher on your overhead when that happens, with the goal of saying, when people say I'm ready to scale, I think what they're typically saying is, I'm slightly overstaffed. I have a call center that's not necessarily full all the time. I've got financial systems in place, or I have a financial department that's handling this. I've got a marketing department that's handling this, and I might be underproducing to value these systems I've put in, but I'm ready to now produce into these systems, which is a really good place to be, but know that you're going to be a little bit more of a higher overhead for a short period of time. So I hope this didn't confuse you, but I want you to think about these things. Think about where you are right now in your practice in terms of scaling up or scaling out. Where are you relative to what your next step is? Now, you may have a $1.5 million practice and say, I'm happy. And there's an old Jewish proverb that says, who is a rich man? He or she who is happy with their portion. So if you're doing something, you're really happy where you are, that's amazing. Stay there. Don't change. It's a beautiful place to be. But if you have aspirations for growing, if you have aspirations for taking more time off and bringing in an associate or scaling in some different way, that's great. Just give some thought to where you want to be 12 months, 36 months, 60 months from now, and what are the systems you need to put in place along the way, and who are the personnel you need to do that. And good news for you, Ben Fishbien and Amanda Floyd are going to teach a course on April 1st called Scalability and Marketing. I don't remember the exact name. I'll go look it up right now. But it's Practice Management and Marketing for Growth and Scalability. You do not want to miss this course. Some of the biggest, baddest, amazing practices have been through their in-office course, which I hope you'll get to one day. But this is a great way for you to hear some amazing stuff for you and your team. And you don't need to be there live. You get 90 days to watch this. So go sign up, click the link in this description below or above, and sign up for the course. You get 90 days to watch it. You don't have to be there live, and you can watch it as many times as you want during those 90 days. You can sign up for the Done For You notes, which are amazing. They're almost word-for-word transcriptions that I review before they get handed out. And you can even buy extended access if you want to keep this for a year or so. So go sign up. I promise it's going to be amazing. I'm always here for you if you ever need anything, and just much love to each and every one of you. And know that I want to see you live a more profitable, lower stress life. Take care.